Hey, what's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode, episode number 115 today for the Malaysian Grand Prix in Season 6. We kick things off here with our engineer giving us a development comparison kind of update. We haven't had one of these for a while now. You can see we've steadily made some progress up until the Belgian Grand Prix. That was our last real big upgrade. And you can see Force India have been making some progress to keep ahead of Renault. Renault surprisingly have plateaued somewhat, even though you must say their race pace-wise has upped. But I guess that's kind of alluding to, as I've said so many times before, they've gotten pretty unlucky in their race strategies usually with the higher tyre wear haven't helped them out. But you can see we've still got work to do to try and catch up Ferrari. We've got that major upgrade coming in 3 episodes time now, and by the end of this episode, looking at the points tally, we should be able to buy maybe one minor upgrade, which won't be, we don't have much choice. That will either be an engine upgrade or that'll be a aerodynamic upgrade. I'll probably just go for an engine one just because I don't really fancy doing an aero one. The only aero ones we have left, which are minors, are going to be some DRS ones, which I don't really fancy doing. So, yeah, we're going to have to watch how that goes. But here we are at the Malaysian Grand Prix, the second episode where maybe this will be some damage limitation, really. Obviously, Singapore was very much that, and we did a pretty decent job. Obviously, Ricciardo did get ahead of us, but we've still got a pretty decent cushion in the championship, and we're hoping to keep somewhat of a cushion by the end of this episode. I mean, the disaster scenario would be us not scoring any points and Ricciardo scoring very highly. I don't think that'll happen, but we'll see. You never know here. Malaysia has been a bit of a topsy-turvy one for us in terms of our fortunes. We've had really bad qualifyings. We've had some pretty mediocre races, so we're going to have to see the combination of the two. And we start off and kick things off here in Q1. It's starting to rain at the moment, so that's not great. I mean, Malaysia definitely is a bogey circuit for me against the AI. The AI are very good around here, and I'm just not that great as well. So coupled together, it's a kind of concoction for disaster. And also in the intermediate periods, generally not had the pace, especially against Lewis Hamilton, my teammate this year for this season. His AI obviously very decent around these conditions, but you can see here at the moment we're on a second flying lap in Q1, so that's why the delta time there is on the top right, and you can see we've gained a lot more time on this second flying lap, just about tiptoeing through this section now, very easy into what is one of the hardest corners in Formula 1 anyway, on the right-hander there, but going even slower than we would there. Probably didn't take the best line, to be honest, very tight, but either way, we've still got some time up there on our top right for the delta time on that first flying lap. But at the moment, we're in P17, so we do need this lap to be a decent one to get us into Q2. So as we go nice and easy on the throttle, trying to plant the power as early as we can, and then we're going to come across the line, and that is going to get us into Q2, thankfully. But you can see Hamilton doing the job there, and the 2 Red Bull cars, as you would imagine, going well in the intermediate conditions. But also that might also say something about their dry tyre pace, which is going to be obviously the thing we need to watch out for. If Ricciardo does win this race, we need to try and be as high up as we can to try and limit that damage. I think it's 18 points the gap is going into this race, so we can keep that down to above 10 points exiting this race. I think that'll be a really big success for me, in my opinion at least. So you can see at the moment on our Q2 run, we're on super soft tyres, but it still very much is damp out there, but all the air are also out on super soft tyres, so I'm hoping that everyone is going to struggle just as much as I am. And to say struggle, really, in terms of the grip levels, they weren't actually feeling too bad. The car definitely felt a lot better than it did in Q1, actually, despite the track still looking very wet. And so it's almost like a la 2012, almost Brazil kind of scenario where it looks far too wet for these tyres, but they're working pretty damn well, and the car's at least feeling good. But across the line, and it's P7 at the moment, but you can see on the top left, 11 seconds off, because Hulkenberg, the man on first place, I'm about to say provisional pole, but it's just first place in Q2, set a blistering lap time. And even though I did a manual in-lap to basically make sure the AI didn't do that kind of thing that happened at Belgium, where basically they simulate their lap times, I still got knocked out in Q2, unfortunately. You can see only by literally a couple of tenths there to the likes of Ocon, Vettel, and Raikkonen. So really unfortunate there. Maybe one corner. That was the one corner's difference, really, in terms of making it into Q3. But P11, it's not the worst place to be, because that does give us free choice of tyres going to the race. Now, going to the race, there's also a possibility of maybe some rain, I think, just like in qualifying. So maybe not the worst place to be. So I'm going to look into the brighter side of that, and we're just going to have to just plow on with it and get on with it and see how far up the order we can get and limit this damage. So let's go to the grid then, see if there's any penalties to maybe help us out, and then we'll see how we do in this race.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Kimi Raikkonen's perfect lap yesterday sees him start from pole position, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Verstappen, Nico Hülkenberg and Perez, Ocon, Palmer, Grosjean and the Mercedes, Massa, Hamilton, Daniel Kvyat and Sainz, Alonso, Stroll, Stoffel Van Dorn and Kevin Magnussen. Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So here we are on the grid then, and we're one place above thanks to our teammate, unfortunately. So half and half, kind of happy about that, but also a little bit disappointed that Hamilton was the one who had a grid penalty, but we do move up into P10. Speaking though of that free choice of tyres, probably won't matter too much, because look at this, we've got rain coming about halfway through, so we're going to start on a set of super soft tyres, and we would lend ourselves to just go into another set of super softs, but I'm going to switch that for now to soft tyres, because I'm not too sure how long this first set of super softs will go, and also in the past, we've seen that harder tyres perform better in those damp conditions, so we'll see how that goes, and once again on the fly we may choose how we decide things. But here we go then to 5 red lights to the Malaysian Grand Prix. It's a 1-2 for Ferrari here, front row lockout, so they've done very well indeed. Let's see how they go as the lights have gone out and we're underway here for 28 laps around the Malaysian Grand Prix. It's a decent start, but an even better one for Massa right now at the moment on the inside of us. We just about missed the Haas there as Palmer locks up quite badly trying to go around the outside of Ocon. We have a little look to the outside, but it's just a bit too long of a way to go around, so we have to go down the inside and still try and make this overtake on Romain Grosjean. That's not over yet. As we swing through then, we will finally get that, and so the long way around really didn't work for us, but that's the only way we could really go as Massa kind of boxed us in then. But we have a look at this battle now between Esteban Ocon and Palmer. Those two still going side by side and holding each other up, so I'm trying to feed my way through, trying to suss out maybe is there a spot, there's some space, maybe a switchback move to be made, but not so at the moment as we go through into the heart of the lap then, and we're staying right now in P9. Our teammate obviously still behind us then, Hamilton. He actually started directly behind us in what would have been P12, that would have been, and so now we move into the last corner. Ocon then with a big lock up, so far AI locking up quite a bit there, actually a lot more than I'm used to so far, at least it seems so, as we move on to lap 2 now though, getting into the slipstream. Rich Mix going there on the exit of the hairpin, and we move to the left hand side, so the long way around again, but this time we won't have as much traffic to kind of navigate as we try and feed this round. We'll take to the inside line as we come to the apex. Lock up from us and a bang of the tyre on the right hand side there, so Ocon, we were completely alongside him, but Ocon just didn't fancy giving us too much room there, so some contact was made and we just though managed to feed it on the left hand side, and again Ocon being quite aggressive here, giving us just about the minimum amount of room to make the move, and we do make it work, so fair play, and we're up into P8 then, so nice little tussle with the Frenchman. Now we'll try and get on the back of our fellow countryman Julian Palmer there at the moment in P7. Both Renaults didn't do as good of a job as I thought they would in Q3 then. Obviously we've seen in the past, I can remembering back to season 2 when Hülkenberg was absolutely on it like a car bonnet around here in that Renault, and so unfortunately they haven't carried over the pace so far in season 6 here, and we're actually going to try and get on the back of Palmer. Obviously the engine upgrades we've done so far this season and the drag reduction working well here as we dart to the inside. A little bit late there that was, as I wasn't sure where Palmer was going to go. I thought for a second there I might have had to make a copycat move that we did on Ocon and go around the outside, but no, we tried the inside of turn 1, didn't work out actually. You can see as we go through to the end of sector 1 we're actually still behind Palmer, so he defended quite well, but finally now we're going to get the momentum, go down the inside, still with Rich Smith going here, and we've got plenty to burn at the moment at this stage of the Grand Prix. A little bit opposite lock for good measure, but we do eventually skate it through into P7, and Palmer falls quite some way back, and so now we've got a bit of clean air, so now we'll try and get on the back of Max Verstappen. So far making some decent progress now, 4 laps gone and gained 4 positions in P7 at the moment, and with some decent pace as we are closing up a lap later. This is as we go towards the end of lap 4 into sector 3, and we'll try and do our best to navigate this next corner, try and not lose as much time as we can there. The AI generally gain the most time on me through that corner, but then down the straight you're about to see with DRS open here, so we're just about within 1 second with DRS and Rich Mix open. We're actually getting so much here on Verstappen. You can see we closed up so much there in the brake zone as well into the apex, getting some more time, and then on the exit obviously we'll get another dab of Rich Mix and DRS zone, and we might just have enough to send one to the inside or the outside. Let's see, as Verstappen's going very slowly indeed, so the power of the Mercedes is finally kicking in now, and we're going the long way around on Verstappen. He's going to have to give us the room. We're alongside him completely, just like with Ocon. Again though, like with Ocon, he's not willing to give us us too much room. Again, locking up on the left front tyre to make sure I go as tight as I can to not make the contact, but there still was some made nonetheless. But we go aggressively now. Owen overtaking him. We go back to the racing line to make sure he knows that we've overtaken him. He's not going to make any kind of funny business happen into Sector 2, and we're up into P6 then. So, twice now having to make some very, aggressive moves into Turn 2 as the AI don't seem to want to give too much room to that inside line despite us being completely alongside them. And so now we move on to lap 6. We're closing up to now this train that's tail-ended by Sergio Perez, although you can see in the minimap there we've got yellow flags, so there might be maybe a safety car or virtual safety car, you never know. But we're closing up to this train of 4, and there is a full course yellow now. Is going to be for Danica Fiat that was out of this Grand Prix, and the virtual safety car that is. So as it ends, we kind of got screwed over a little bit. I felt like the virtual safety car ending in that specific corner kind of screwed us over a little bit because I kept in 6th gear, unfortunately, and so that bogged us down a little bit in terms of momentum. So now I'm looking behind me a little bit worryingly on where Verstappen is, and now as we move on to lap 7, very much looking behind me in terms of where he is, looking back completely, and not just in my mirrors, completely looking back with the back button and trying to see where he is. So at the moment using Rich Mix, we lock up though into the last corner. That's not going to help. We've got cars in the pit lane then, so we'll go up the order, but we're going to have to try and break the toe a little bit, and this is how worried I am. I'm going to stay to the right hand side. The natural racing lines are diagonal to the left hand side. Obviously we go a little bit late to the left hand side to make the brake zone, obviously, but trying to cut the toe and brake any kind of slipstream Verstappen's trying to get, and then eventually on lap 8 we will come in. This was our scheduled pit stop time, so I'm going to go into a set of soft tyres now as was planned. But this is why it was a bit of a toss-up in terms of what we did for the strategy, because there was definitely an argument to just go into another set of super soft tyres, because they will go to lap 16, and that would, if the weather was going to play as it did on the weather forecast, that would have been fine. But also I was thinking about maybe, the tyres definitely did start to drop off then around lap 8. That's why I was getting worried about Verstappen behind me. And then also, as I said, if we go back to places like Austria where the rain's come down and we've been on dry tyres, or even Singapore in previous seasons, the harder tyres have generally performed better in those damp conditions. So that's why I've gone to a set of soft tyres. It may not seem like the most logical decision, but at the time I thought that was going to be the best way for us. And also those super soft tyres just definitely were wearing out a little bit towards the end of that stint. So I'd rather have fresher tyres when it starts to come down in terms of rain. But as we move on now to lap 9, you can see the difference though between the soft and the super soft tyres. We're a little bit wide, or very wide actually. That's a little bit of an understatement. Very wide indeed, enough so that Verstappen gets his nose down there and has a bit of a sniff at our rear end to try and overtake us. So far though, we're good with the Rich Mix and straight line speed to get back ahead of him, but you can clearly see there is that definite pace difference between the soft tyres and the super softs. Meanwhile though, you got Nico Hulkenberg setting the fast after the Grand Prix, so although he did not qualify too well, Nico did, he's trying to come back at the 2 Ferrari cars in this race, and I think he may be battling them for the race lead along with Daniel Ricciardo. And obviously at the moment the Red Bull clearly has the pace, but I'm just doing a decent job at the moment to hold up Verstappen, and he must be getting very frustrated indeed. But Vettel down in, actually I only just noticed that he's down in P5. So from what was pole position, Vettel now in down the order, so he's going to be a little disappointed by that. And once again, Ferrari showing that lack of true race pace. They may still have a very good car on paper, but they've just not been doing the job in the races so far. And once again in Malaysia, no difference. But now we move on to lap 16, and now you can clearly see a mega difference in terms of the darkness and the brightness around the circuit. It's overcast and it's starting to rain. We've got cars in the pit lane though. Perez on soft tyres now. We've got Vettel on soft tyres. Ricciardo up ahead on soft tyres. So all those cars have pit in for an extra set of dry tyres. Meanwhile though, we're going wide into turn 1. The rain is really starting to affect the car now, and I just couldn't get it into turn 1, couldn't get the nose turned in. But despite that, I'm still just about managing to kind of drift this car through to stay ahead of Lewis Hamilton. And you can see on the bottom right, it's time to come in for the intermediate tyres now. In hindsight, I definitely could have come in that lap for intermediate tyres, but at the time, into the last corner, the grip wasn't that bad. It was only until turn 1 where I realised really that part of the track was very damp indeed. And then the engineer obviously made the call in for the change of strategy. So, you can say a lot of stuff in hindsight, but definitely I probably could have gained a bit more there. But we're in anyway. Hamilton continues on for one more lap, unfortunately, so I kind of feel sorry for him. After an engine penalty then, or some kind of penalty for the grid, I make him go out for one more lap, because obviously I've got the first pit because I was ahead of him on circuit. So he's out there right now, still on dry tyres, and it looks that wet. So Yeah, sorry, Lewis, sorry. Once again, just obviously I am the first driver, so it's only fair, really, and I was first on track, but I still feel a little bit bad that he's out there on dry. But you can see now we are going to stay ahead of Sebastian Vettel then, as he obviously made that extra pit stop for dry tyres, which he didn't need to, but I was really very much banking on the fact that maybe some of them would do that, so we can gain some positions here. And so we're in P5 for the moment, but obviously we're going to gain one more position due to Hamilton, so we'll be up in P4. Ricciardo is the next car up ahead, or he would be, because at the moment there you can see yellow flags, and I think that is Lewis Hamilton just up ahead, going very slow indeed as we skate through as well. So we're still trying to find the balance in the car and the grip on these inters, but Hamilton going very slowly indeed, still on the dry tyres. So I feel actually very bad at this point as we almost make a bit more contact with him. We do make contact with Hamilton, but that could have been a lot worse actually if I cooked it into that corner and steamrolled him and T-boned him into that corner. But, you know, thankfully, nothing more. But, yeah, I'm going to admit, now I do feel very bad for Hamilton, because now we've overtaken him. We're a whole pit stop ahead now. And, you know, it's all just because I had track position. So, yeah, that's a little bit awkward. I guess the team debrief isn't exactly going to be fruity, let's say. But, yeah, you can see now Ricciardo is in P3. I'm in P4. So, if it ended like this would be a perfect scenario for us to get damage limitation. But now, the full safety car is out. For some reason, the safety car's out. I don't know exactly why it is out still, even after this race, but the full safety car is out. So this could mean we might even have a chance to jump Ricciardo. So at a race where, you know, I've been banging on about damage limitation, at the restart here, could we maybe even get ahead of Ricciardo and outscore him, which would be absolutely fantastic to do at the Malaysian Grand Prix. So far, it's Hülkenberg from Raikkonen to Ricciardo. Raikkonen moving about very weirdly for some reason on the restart. And here, I'm trying to just get as close as I can to Ricciardo, but unfortunately, just like Singapore, again, I missed the restart a little bit, misjudge it, and so Ricciardo gets on the power a little bit faster than I can, but we do the same thing to Vettel, so that's fine. As we go into the hairpin, I actually lock up on the left front, but Ricciardo goes even slower, so from what was, I thought, going to be a lock-up and having to do a bit of a kind of, hopefully avoid his rear end to make some contact, actually turned into a tiny bit of a half move to the inside. That puts off Ricciardo, and so now we can try and move to the outside here. It's going to be difficult, though, because it was already hard enough overtaking Ocon and Verstappen in dry conditions here into this corner, but now on inters, maybe the AI is going to be even more aggressive, because we know, generally, so far, I haven't had the pace on inters compared to them, and so as you go into the next corner, again, third time lucky in this race, we get squeezed there, even though I can't go any tighter into that corner. We make some contact. Now we're going side by side. Ricciardo is still very much there with the proximity area. You can just about see his front wing there popping onto the right-hand side corner and into the next brake zone. I brake as late as I dare, but we lock up though, go a bit too deep, and Ricciardo's got it down the inside. So trying to brake late did not work out for me, and instead I lock up and make a mistake. And now to the next left-hander, we make another mistake. We go wide to that next left, and I can't keep the car in where I want it. Basically, it's just moving about all the way like a sailboat basically, and starts to just fishtail. And Vettel's managed to overtake us as well, so we're down to P5 unfortunately. So just a mistake really just cost us there that position, and unfortunately that's going to be the end of the action for us, because I just didn't have too much pace. We just about hold it through ahead of Sergio Perez in a bit of a train, not going to lie, and we come across the line in P5 then with Daniel Ricciardo in P3. So definitely a big damage limitation race for us there, as Nico Hülkenberg goes on to win the Malaysian Grand Prix here then in soaking conditions as we end it. But you'll see the title of this video is My Game Broke. My game did break because unfortunately, you guys know I like to use some replay cameras sometimes just to give a bit of a different angle to the videos. Whilst I was doing that and also getting a screenshot for maybe a thumbnail, potential thumbnail, my game froze. My game froze, and as I tried to fix it, maybe like task manager it and see if it was going to respond, the game just shut down and put me to my desktop, and so I lost that entire race. So what I had to do was I had to just click simulate on the race. Thankfully, though, the simulation results, so you can see there, Ricciardo still finished ahead of me in the simulation. Although he finished second, I finished third. Thankfully, Hülkenberg still won that race, so the race winner was still there in the simulation, and Ricciardo still finished ahead of me. But instead of a 12-point gap, the gap is now 14 to Ricciardo. So he got an advantage of 2 points there, but thankfully I didn't finish ahead of him in the simulation. But unfortunately, there's not too much I can do. I was not going to re-record it because I might have performed better having done an entire race already, and I thought that wasn't fair in terms of, I've already got the cushion in the championship, so I don't think I should have the advantage of having done basically a practice race in Malaysia, and knowing what because the weather conditions would have been the exact same thing basically, so I could have preempted everything and I could have done everything in hindsight basically. So I just thought I will stick with the results, what the simulation gives us. So hopefully that's not too annoying, but you know, Ricciardo still did gain on us, so I think that's fair enough. But yeah, really annoying, the game had to crash on us there during the replay camera phases. But there you go, it's the first time that's happened to me on F1 2017. It happened to me once before back on F1 2016, but this is the first time it's happened on the 2017 game. So unfortunate, but those things happen sometimes when you're making videos on video games. So there we go. But anyway, to round out the episode, guys, if you still did enjoy it, please do hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then you get subscribed for weekly F1 content. To round out the episode, we're going to go and purchase the minor engine upgrade, the final minor engine upgrade we've got left here. I didn't want to do the aerodynamics, as I said. I'll go for raw engine power. That's going to come in next episode for the Japanese Grand Prix. I think that's going to be pretty useful still. You know, engine power is still going to be very, very useful. And you saw there in Sector 3 and Sector 1 even, the engine power did definitely help us kind of counteract time we were losing in Sector 2 against the AI there. So that's why I've gone for it. And also it's an instant upgrade rather than a kind of waiting around for 4 weeks minimum. So that's why I've gone for it. But yeah, once again, guys, if you did enjoy the episode, hit that like button. I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.